Hello and welcome to another Tip Tuesday. My name is Adam Waymer. I am Director of Customer Success here at IndySoft. And today I want to show you a new version 13 option called User Created Fields. Now what this is going to help do is enable you to more easily set up your new fields layouts. Since version 13 has been released, we've been getting a lot of great feedback on people really liking that new look and feel. And I think it's really great to try and move to the field settings where you can, because it enables so many options like the dark mode that I'm currently in, as well as the zoom option. A lot of people like a little bit larger text on the screen. With the new high DPI options we have in the fields layout, it's available to you. So if you're on old layouts, that's something you couldn't quite use. So let me zoom out here. But the great thing about layouts is they were incredibly customizable, and these still are. But people have been in there since version 9. People have built out a lot of different layouts for different user profile types even. It's how you control what's exposed to your end users. So the way you were probably familiar with customizing that is you would have this option here, our layout designer. And you see here I've sort of added in some random objects. So SQL. I could put in custom SQL if I wanted to. Or I can add any field I want just by double clicking and adding it there. It's very customizable, very friendly. But you still have the same sort of options available to you in the fields layout. It's just going to operate a little bit differently. So I'm going to minimize this. Now, if I was editing this particular fields layout, I would come in here and I'd customize it. And you'll see I have my list of available items that I can drag and drop. But you don't see the same options that you saw in layouts. Like you don't see SQL listed here, and you don't see current custom fields. So I'm going to show you how to take care of that. And that's through our user created options here. I guess I should call it maybe an object. So user created 7 is not in use right now, so I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to add it to the layout. And I'm going to add another one, because I'm going to modify 2 things here. So let's go ahead and add user created 8. Now these are not connected to any fields in the database. This has nothing to do with your user defined fields, like where you've got a custom field that is storing data on a record and you've added that. These are just objects for the layout. And they're, for each different field layout you make, those user created objects are going to be available. So right now what I'm going to do is go to user created 7 by right clicking and edit. Now you're going to see a window that's kind of familiar to what we saw in the layout section. So let's say I wanted to add in SQL. I'll hit find next. Again, present the same way it was in the last one. And I will just double click and it adds it over here. Let's update this so it actually pulls in some data. So I'm going to do select count star from gauges. Okay, and looks right to me. Want to double check SQL because Lord knows you can make a typo there, especially when you're recording a video. Hit OK, and you'll note now it says 40 because that's about how many assets I have in this test system. I have about 40 records, so it pulled in all that data. So if you've ever done anything like this in the layout, you're going to be able to do the same thing in the field section. The next one I'm going to talk about, I mentioned current custom fields not being present in that list. And part of the reason why that is they're designed, your current fields and your in-transit fields, to work based on your tracking status. So you'll notice these 4 fields show when I'm in work in process, but if I go to awaiting shipment, I have 2 entirely different fields. So these are all the current and in-transit fields that are connected in workflow config based on that tracking status. And if you're not familiar with that, I do highly recommend going to our help docs. You can see that in there, how to set up tracking statuses in their corresponding fields. And also too, I want to mention briefly, if you haven't been to training.indysoft.com, there is a version 13 training available that you can sign up for, and it takes you through a lot of the big features that are available in this release. So like I was saying, we have the current fields that show based on your tracking status. But for people who've used IndySoft for a long time, maybe they didn't use those fields the way that was necessarily designed, and they just used current employee for something different. And they want it exposed no matter what, regardless of what tracking status that you're in. So I can do the same thing in here. I'll right click, edit user created 8. And again, I've got that sort of set up similar to what you saw in the layouts, and I'll find current employee and double click it. You'll notice it adds a lot of options there. So I'm going to hit OK, and immediately we get a better looking, no more user create 8, it's what it's supposed to be. We've got the label for it. We've got the hyperlink, so it's editable. I can click that and adjust it. It's got all your add edit list information, but I can add in pretty much everything that I want to, same way as I did previously. You're just going to use those user created fields for it. So if you've got any question on this or you need any help whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out to support at IndySoft.com. Check out training.indysoft.com, which has that version 13 training and has all these sort of features listed on it that you can look into in a bit more detail. And as always, if you go to the customer portal at IndySoft.com, all of the release notes are present for version 13, and you can just search on user created and see the release note for this particular item. Again, we're just so happy to have version 13, and we appreciate all of you and all the great feedback we've received. Have a great one.